Love, love, love. So what is love? What is love? So you're love struck. You're love struck, you've fallen in love, you're deep in love, you're so in love, you're whatever, however you've expressed your love, your deepest thoughts of love. You in your heart, you have developed a meaning or a definition of what love is. And you have used your environment, you have used your experiences to get to this thing of love. But what is it? Where does it come from? What does it emanate? Where does it flow? What's its influence? What's its intent? What's its purpose? What's the purpose of love? Just like what's the purpose of hate? What's the purpose of jealousy? What's the purpose of need? What's the purpose of all these things, these feelings that we have that we cannot control? Or when we do try to control them, why is it that we cannot? Why is it that we're overwhelmed? Where does the strength of love come from? Where does the strength of hate come from? Where does the strength of jealousy come from? Just emotions in general. Where do they come from? And what is the purpose of it? Because obviously it's not something that's physiological. You cannot touch an emotion. You cannot create an emotion. You cannot code an emotion. It's there already. It's almost like pre-coded, prescribed for us to get into it, to enter into it, to flow into it. It's almost like it was just there prior to us even getting on this earth. So if an essence, then it's got an essence. These emotions that we feel, they've got essences, they have origins. They have a certain amount of power as well, because obviously we know what hatred can do, we know what jealousy can do, we know what love can do. We know what even life in itself, you understand that life in itself is an emotion. I know perhaps you haven't thought of it in those terms, but you think life is life, you live it, and then you develop, you grow, you change, you grow from child to manhood or womanhood and so on and so forth. It's just life. But it's actually an emotion, it's a feeling, life. And you won't actually understand what life is until or you've been around someone who's about to experience death. Because death in itself is a spirit. Death in itself is an emotion. Death in itself elicits something inside of you, just the way that life does. But we don't normally delve too deep into that because we're just living. Life is just about living, and we really only understand it truly perhaps when we're stressed in life or when we feel like ending our lives. Then we understand the spirit of life and how it actually flows to the intent where you actually want to end it. And I think that's probably where most of us really see or feel what life is about, near-death experiences, or when you just feel like it's time to actually leave, or you're seeing someone who's about to leave. And that's the same with love, really. These emotions, they're there, but we don't understand them. We don't understand how to develop them. We don't understand how to understand it. We don't even understand where to dig to actually find the resource behind love, the source behind love, the power behind love. We don't actually even know where to begin. And that's why this series has started with me. I want you to now be in a place to almost be like a child who has come into life not knowing what life is, but you kind of feel it and sense it around you to say, wow, this is life. And you know and understand what life is, not only because A, you want to continue in it, B, because you know when somebody is about to take it away from you that you want to fight for it. You know, most creatures or most spirits or most people, we actually want to fight for life. We actually want to fight for life. And that's also similar to in terms of drowning. They say that a man or a person is not unable to drown themselves, and the reason behind it is because when you try and take your own life, I don't know how they came to these conclusions. I don't know who they're experimenting on or what the thought around is, but it's because when you try to take your own life, your lifespan, the spirit behind life itself wants to keep living. So there's a source behind life, there's a power behind life in itself, and there's the same I can apply it to love, if I can put it in those terms. It's only when you try and take it away from you, or when somebody is trying to remove it, that you should fight to say, wait a second, this is something that is supposed to be inside of me. Life and love actually work in tangent. They work hand in hand. So if you want to understand life, you need to understand love. And if you want to understand love, you need to understand life. So I'm going to be speaking more about both in tangent, life and love. I'm also going to speak a little bit about light. So I'm going to bring God into the equation to see how it is that he fits into all of this. The life, the love, and the light, the life, the love, and the light. The life, actually, I think I'm gonna try and put it in those terms going forward. Life, light, and love. How do those three interact and how do they work together? I will be speaking more about that. Please follow me, give me a comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Be blessed.